Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to read Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs by Judith Barrett. Now, before I show you the first picture, I want you to imagine what this scene must look like. We were all sitting around the big kitchen table. It was Saturday morning, pancake morning. Mom was squeezing oranges for juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we could each eat, and Grandpa was doing the flipping. Wow, that sounds like really nice. How many of you have had a pancake morning recently? Before we go on, I think I can make an inference here. You remember that when we infer, we think about something we know and we try to figure out something new. So I'm wondering about the narrator of the story. The narrator is a person telling the story. And I know that he or she is betting with Henry. And we know that Henry is a boy because that's a boy's name. But I need to picture to help tell me for sure. So let's look. So I'm inferring that our narrator is this little girl. All right? Let's find out what happens in our story. Seconds later, something flew through the air, headed toward the kitchen ceiling, and landed right on Henry. After we realized that the flying object was only a pancake, we all laughed, even Grandpa. Breakfast continued quite uneventfully. All the other pancakes landed in the pan, and all of them were eaten, even the one that landed on Henry. So when Grandfather flipped that pancake, it must have scared him. Look, they thought something was coming for him for sure, right? That night, touched off by the pancake incident at breakfast, Grandpa told us the best tall tale bedtime story he'd ever told. Across the ocean, over lots of large bumpy mountains, across 3 hot deserts and 1 smaller ocean, there lay the tiny town of Chew and Swallow. In most ways, it was very much like any other tiny town. It had a main street with stores, houses with trees and gardens around them, a schoolhouse, about 300 people, and some assorted cats and dogs. But there were no food stores in the town of Chew and Swallow. They didn't need any. The sky supplied all the food they could possibly want. The only thing that was really different about Chew and Swallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. Now this is really getting to be a tall tale, and I'm starting to make the connection with the title, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, that sometimes when you watch the weather report and they'll say, tomorrow is cloudy with a chance of rain, so I can infer that maybe food's gonna fall from the sky and maybe at one point it's going to be meatballs. Whatever the weather served was what they ate. But it never rained rain, it never snowed snow, and it never just blew wind. It rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes and green peas, and sometimes the wind blew in storms of hamburgers. That picture, isn't it crazy? What would you do if you stepped outside and peas were falling from the sky? The people could watch the weather report on television in the morning, and they would even hear a prediction for the next day's food. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, cups, glasses, forks, spoons, knives, and napkins with them. That way, they would always be prepared for any kind of weather. If there were leftovers, and there usually were, the people took them home and put them in their refrigerators in case they got hungry in between meals. I'm thinking it sure wouldn't be nice not to have to go to the grocery store anymore. The menu varied. By the time they woke up in the morning, breakfast was coming down. After a brief shower of orange juice, low clouds of sunny-side-up eggs moved in followed by pieces of toast, butter and jelly sprinkled down for the toast, and most of the time it rained milk afterwards. For lunch one day, frankfurters, already in their rolls, blew in from the northwest at about 5 miles an hour. There were mustard clouds nearby. The wind shifted to the east and brought in baked beans. A drizzle of soda finished off the meal. I wonder, do you think that the people got bored with what they had to eat? The sign says Ralph's Roofless Restaurant. Why doesn't it have a roof? Oh yeah, because the food is coming. Dinner one night consisted of lamb chops, becoming heavy at times with occasional ketchup. Periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by a gradual clearing with a wonderful jello setting in the west. The sanitation department of Chew and Swallow had a rather unusual job for sanitation department. It had to remove the food that fell on the houses and sidewalks and lawns. The workers cleaned up things after every meal and fed all the dogs and cats. Then they emptied some of it into the surrounding oceans for the fish and turtles and whales to eat. The rest of the food was put back into the earth so that the soil would be richer for the people's flower gardens. Now, let's think about that for a minute. It really does, when it says the jello setting, it looks like a sun. They're kind of really trying, the author's making it sound like it's a weather report. And I was wondering what happened to all that food, so it's good to know that their sanitation department is on top of it. But, I don't know. Now we know that all those dogs and cats don't just find some on the ground. It gets fed to them, but still, strange things happen in Tall Tales. Life for the townspeople was delicious until the weather took a turn for the worse. All right. So look, I'm going to just show you this page for a minute. And it's the headline of a newspaper. And it shows them like drowning in spaghetti. So that makes me think that this is what bad weather is going to look like. And maybe something's wrong with their weather pattern. So I guess that spaghetti could be bad weather. It definitely could be slippery and stringy. One day, nothing but gorgonzola cheese all day. And the next day, there were Brussels sprouts and peanut butter with mayonnaise. The next day, there was only broccoli, all overcooked. Another day, there was pea soup fog. No one could see where they were going, and they could barely find the rest of the meal that got stuck in the fog. Oh no, so it definitely seems like the bad weather trend is continuing. So now they're getting some examples of some really bad food. And so if this is your only food choices and it's bad food falling, that would definitely be a problem. I don't know. Thanks for listening today, and we'll listen to more tomorrow. Thanks.